Say again, please.
Houston, we have a
This is my
problem.
favorite one so far. Nice job, team.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Minimum Infinitum. I am your host, Spencer Smith, and today we have a lot to cover about one of our favorite topics, conspiracy theories. And we will be going over where they came from, what's the basis about them, and our overall opinions on them. We have some really interesting topics to cover today, and we will jump right into it with our co-hosts, Kat King and Rex Light. They will also be sharing their thoughts on these conspiracies. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you guys ready to jump right in on this?
Yep.
I sure am. Let's take a deep dive.
A huge dive. I'm actually really ready for this. So Kat, what do you got for us? What is your?
So, do you know what corpse medicine is?
No.
I actually don't.
Okay, so it's also known as medicinal cannibalism. Either way, I now have names for my non-existent metal band. So, corpse
That's kinda sick.
medicine is a medicinal practice where parts of dead humans are used to treat illnesses. So, yeah, people will eat dead people. This was huge back in Europe in in the medieval times, but even as recently as 1924, you could
Really?
buy mummy vitamins.
Mummy vitamins?
Yeah, a whole bunch of Egyptian mummies were ground up to be used as vitamins or paint, and that's part of the reason why mummies are so rare nowadays.
So people do they do this now? Like am I gonna be eating mummies now? Like when I take my Flintstones gummies?
No.
That's a shame. I kind of wanted to try it. Now that
Yeah,
you
that sounds-
kind of mentioned it.
That sounds awesome.
So, the use of corpse medicine within the British royal family has been really well documented. Like, Mary, Queen of Scots, for example, used to use corpse medicine. But don't worry, it hasn't been documented since the 1700s. Or apparently not. There are people out there who think that Queen Elizabeth II murders and eats children.
I don't know if she's got the strength for that at that age.
Yeah, I wonder if she sends her goons to pick up the kids.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule it out.
I mean, she is 94? Apparently the only way to live that long is to eat children.
That's the source of her power.
So, there's this so-called historian or philosopher, whatever you want to call him, or more so whatever he wants to call himself. His name is Hubert Humdinger, and he's kind of, I guess, the basis of the Queen Elizabeth eats people conspiracy theory.
Well, first off, he's got quite the humdinger of a name, if I say so.
Yeah.
He absolutely does. He's written some books about all kinds of conspiracy theories, including, obviously, that she eats people. And there's this website called Dear Dirty America, and I believe he's related to it.
Hmm.
But also, apparently, there are people who think that Hubert Humdinger doesn't even exist.
Ooh, it's like an alias.
Yeah.
What if it's like Prince Charles or something? And he's just,
Ooh.
it's like his tabloid
Yeah, he's trying to.
that he created.
He's trying to create an in on himself so he can get all the power.
Yeah.
That'd be epic.
You never know.
Because if you know how the British are, you can't say anything about the Queen. So if
That's true.
yeah, so if some dude's coming out saying she eats people, they're gonna probably kill him.
Yeah, especially if she does eat people.
Yeah, exactly. To cover it up. Dude, oh my god,
Yeah.
this actually makes a lot of sense now. She has to.
Or to make it seem fake so no one catches on. It's like, oh, this is ridiculous. This humdinger doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and then they try to find him. like kind of like in like those what are those Tom Hanks like Da Vinci Code type deal, and you can just never find them.
The Humdinger Code.
The Humdinger Code. Maybe that's why people don't talk about the Queen, because they all know she does it. They just don't want to get eaten next.
So some of the evidence, quote unquote, that she is a cannibal is Humdinger claims that she has really sharp teeth and that she is like a rodent and that her teeth never stop growing.
They never stop growing. Wouldn't they be like through her jaw by now?
So they gotta file it?
Yeah, she has apparently been spotted with this stick. It's called a bully stick, which is apparently a dried up bull penis, which she uses to chew on to make sure her teeth don't get too long.
Dude.
Like dentist sticks for dogs, but it's a bull penis.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's crazy. I can't believe that.
I know.
So like, has she been seen like filing her teeth down, or is that just like what people believe is like what she's holding all the time?
Apparently there's footage of her holding the bully stick while meeting with people for the Olympics.
Dude, that's actually crazy.
Interesting.
Who knows?
Could it be just a model Olympic torch, since it was for the Olympics?
Who knows?
Ooh.
The article even says that bully sticks were traditionally used as walking sticks, so oh my gosh, maybe she's holding a walking stick.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, she's got to keep going, you know, because like she's 94, she like has no power, so like the only way she's like really like, I think like she would want to stay alive is just like the thrill of the hunt, like find people to eat and just keep her power growing.
Yeah, I could see it.
There's apparently an electrician who claims that he was hired to fix electrical problems in the kitchen of one of the castles, and he found frozen dead people in one of the fridges.
Wait, like
Frozen.
Wait, like really?
Frozen dead bodies.
According to Hubert Humdinger.
A reliable source.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I couldn't find.
And you'd think there were a bunch of comments on this article, and you'd think they would be like, this is fake. But they're like, this family should be killed. The queen isn't a human. So there are people who buy into this.
And they're not even questioning it or anything. They're just like, yeah, get her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
Hubert Humdinger also claims that when Dick Cheney got a heart replacement, the Queen of England ate his old heart.
That's true.
I mean, it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dick Cheney's heart would have been in like, a museum or something.
Right? Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
It's not at the Smithsonian last I checked.
yeah, nobody's seen it. It was just like, hey, come
Yeah.
on,
Because she ate it.
come on, Liz, just have my heart. It's okay. And that's why we're in such good terms with the United Kingdom.
Yeah, he said, buy you lunch. This one's on me. Just got to do heart transplant.
Yeah, I'll treat you. I'll treat you. You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
And then I guess I'll get into the incident that introduced me to this conspiracy theory.
Ooh, the incident.
Ooh.
Let's hear
Yeah. I have no idea if this genuinely happened or not. There's a lot of people who feel one way or the other, but apparently way back when the Queen of England visited some residential schools in Canada, apparently there are 10 children who left with the Queen of England and then disappeared. This is a thing that some people say happened. Who knows if this happened or not? And there are some people who think that the Queen murdered and ate these children.
So there's like actual, like, is there actual record of like these like kids being there, then like just all of a sudden like falling off the face of the earth?
Like, are they still missing?
I mean, yeah, like if they never came up again, like I think that would be big news. Like say like, oh, we found them, but they haven't.
Oh yeah, these children who are with the queen and did not get eaten are right
Yeah,
here.
they're all okay, and they're just like completely different.
Yeah, there's a lot of contention as to if this incident with the missing children ever even happened. Like, because they didn't necessarily keep the best records, they could have covered it up, but also they could be like just making this thing up online. Who knows?
I'm just thinking that like, since there's so many like different like points of reference to this theory, like not all of them have to be like false, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just so many things. Like one, okay, but multiple, I don't know. Like I would totally believe it.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you could believe a portion of it. And, you know, maybe she does carry around a bull penis for a walking cane. But do her teeth grow indefinitely? I don't know about that one. And does she eat kids and get away with it and no one said anything? Besides Hubert Humdinger? I don't know.
Mr. Humdinger coming in with the facts. My thing is that like you never really see the queen unless she's like out in public, and even then it's very rare. Like she only comes out for special occasions. It's like what does she do?
That's true.
She's 94.
I mean, she's probably old. She probably sits a lot.
Yeah.
Just sits there.
Probably eats people.
I mean, I will say this. I have not seen her not eat someone. So I have yet to be proven wrong.
That's fair. You gotta look at the alternative. You could totally be eating kids. That's actually nuts. I did not know of this. Alright, so we will get back to Rex's lovely conspiracy after this commercial break. Welcome back, everybody. And right now, we are going to send it off to my main man Rex for his segment that we'd like to call The Moon. Real or cheese?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked.
Nice.
Just so, let me set the scene here of why the moon is either real or it's made out of cheese.
Okay.
Just the other day, I was watching this interesting show. It was about an English man and his dog. And this man, he just loved cheese. Like he just could not get enough cheese.
True.
But
cheese is good.
yeah, one day, get this, he found a mouse was eating all his cheese that he had. So, you know, they came to the logical, circumstance to build a rocket and go to the moon to get more cheese.
Okay, like as you do.
Yeah, so this man and his dog just go to get more cheese. But when they got to the moon, turns out the moon not made of cheese.
That's it, cheese. We'll go somewhere where there's cheese. I don't know, lad. It's like no cheese I've ever tasted.
So I'd say the moon is real and it's not made out of cheese. But the real question is, was the Apollo 11 moon landing real? Or was it just another product of the Hollywood machine?
Ooh, that's a very controversial one.
Yeah, there have been many documentaries about it. One of the biggest explanations is that Stanley Kubrick actually directed the moon landing of 1969. And the reason behind this is because he made 2001: A Space Odyssey. And people were like, yeah, Why wouldn't he? And then, he's got all this space experience. He could fake
Yeah.
a moon landing if he really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after the moon landing, he makes The Shining. And in The Shining, there's all types of references to the moon landing. Like,
Okay.
the little kid Danny, he's got Apollo 11 shirt. He has a rocket taking off or stuff like that. And then everyone's like,
Really?
wow, that's a lot of references to the moon landing.
Yeah.
But the explanation for that is, it was pretty big at the time. So he kind of just liked the moon landing. It's not him going, yeah, this is exactly how I did the moon landing.
Interesting.
But there are a lot of things that people are like, oh, the moon landing's fake. Like, if you look at the flag on the moon, it's like waving, but you're like, well, how would that happen? There's like no gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think you would solve that?
I don't know. I've always wondered that, because like when you think about the time period, like they were racing against the Soviets, right? And they made it to space first. And so like they could have very easily said, "Oh yeah, we went to the moon. It was awesome." And then like since, nobody's been to the moon prior, they wouldn't know. But like nowadays it's like, "Oh, well they could have totally not gone to the moon."
Yeah, and it would make sense because all the money involved in the space race, people wanted it to be over. They wanted someone to win.
Mm.
And, what best to be the person to win? Filming it would be easier than actually going. Faking it would be. But it turns out that with our modern technology, we can look at the moon and see the little individual footprints that we have caused. And for the flag, how it seems like it's waving, but the gravity wouldn't make it wave, is, the flag pole is actually an L. So there's a top bar that straightens out the top of the flag. And
Okay.
then, so the gravity does kind of wave it with what gravity there is, because it's still kind of stiff and held in place.
Okay.
But there's this guy who basically created the whole notion that the moon landing was fake. His name's Bill Casing, and he wrote a book on it, and he explains all these different things. It started out where he didn't really believe it himself. It was like a hunch that he had, and then like an intuition, and then as he kind of tricked himself, and it became like a, he was like convicted in his own belief that like, yeah, this is true. This stuff I just made up is true. So yeah, moon landing is kind of all started by one person, and it's like been never ending.
Yeah. What I was thinking, like on your previous point on like, like we can look up there and we can see like the footprint.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a previous question before that. Do you think that every time like we made it to the moon, like it was fabricated, or just that one time?
You see, I think we went every time, honestly.
Do you think we went every time?
But most of the conspiracies are like, yeah, we didn't go the first time. We were just trying to win in the space race. But the other, we did eventually get there.
Okay. Because I was thinking like, we can look up there and see it now, but another time they could have totally just been like, okay, let's put it down let's put down the footprints where we said we would put them, and then like we put the flag up, and like, all right, like it's like we're totally cool, and then they left,
Yeah, that's a good thought process, I'd say.
Yeah, just going with the conspiracy theorists here.
But if you also think about it, so like, let's say 600 million people like watched it as it aired on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then just until recently, people are coming up with these conspiracies. Like, they didn't catch any errors on TV. All 600 million of them watch it.
I don't know. Maybe it's because they just didn't know like what it would be like. You know.
That's true. Maybe they
Yeah.
just didn't understand the science behind it.
Yeah, because like if we launched the first like mission like Venus or something, like sure we could maybe piece apart a few things if it was fabricated, but like we don't really know what Venus looks like on the surface, like very roughly.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe there were people back then, they just didn't have a voice until the internet came about.
That's true. That's also why the conspiracy goes around a lot farther, because you could say anything online and you can get hundreds of people to be like, you know what? That makes sense. And then they share it. And then other people share it. And then other people share it. And you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people sharing this one thing that you just kind of made up.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So that's been like an age-old question. Like
Yeah.
it was the first one, and I mean, hearing the conspiracy theorists, it's like I'm totally for the moon, the first moon landing being real, but I'm not totally like, oh, these people are just like insane thinking this. Like I'm not quite that far. I'm like, they do have some basis to go off of.
Yeah, there are some good thoughts, I will
Yeah.
say. But I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the thing. We don't work in NASA.
Yeah. I mean, you think about all the different people who have worked at NASA and like gotten fired or like ended on bad terms or something. Why have not? They haven't been like, oh yeah, the moon landing was fake. I learned all about it while working at NASA. No one at NASA, or formerly working at NASA, I don't think has really said anything.
Maybe they were like sworn to secrecy and they were gonna get eaten by the queen if they hyped up.
Well, have you heard of that one guy, Bob Lazar? Laser? I don't know how to say his last name. He
I've heard that
worked at Area 51, and then he quit, and he's been telling everyone about it. And he's
yeah.
been kind of like scared for his life.
Yeah, I did hear about that when the whole Area 51 thing was like taken off.
Yeah, I think a documentary came out about it. I think he was on a couple podcasts. Oh, I also wanted to mention this one thing.
Yeah.
So there was this interview with Stanley Kubrick where he admits that he staged the moon landing. It came out, or it said they recorded it right before he died.
I perpetrated a huge fraud, which I am now about to detail. Okay. Involving the United States government and NASA. All right. And I'm sure you've heard the rumors. The moon landing? That's right. That the moon landing was fake. The moon landings all were fake.
But it was just a hoax. It was just a made up clip.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah, that's so tough.
Yeah, it was an interview about right before he died, which would make sense. Because, like, what if he spoke about it and then he was secretly killed, you know? And
Yeah.
they kind of staged it as just him dying.
Yeah, that I think that theory can go on forever. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's constantly evolving. I think people are constantly making up more things
Yeah.
to try to disprove it.
Yeah, like even my mom believes that the moon landing was fake. She totally believes it to this day.
And I mean, there are people who think that the moon's fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, or made out of cheese.
Who knows?
I mean, I will say this. I haven't been there. I don't know.
Yeah. People aren't eating the rocks, so maybe it is cheese.
Oh, that's also another thing that disproved it. They did bring back some rocks from the moon, so it's like,
Yeah, but
this is the moon right here.
like
This is what it's like.
that's the thing. Like there's rocks literally everywhere.
But it was a moon rock they brought back. You know who probably has been to the moon?
Who?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Exactly. Thank you. That was a great segue. So we will get to the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Zuckerberg, after this quick and tiny commercial break. Last but not least, we will be talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Zuckerberg. I'm assuming you both know who this man is.
Yes, I've seen The Social Network.
Yeah, he knows everything about me, all my data and everything.
Yeah, like everybody and their grandmother, literally their grandmother, has Facebook. And without a doubt, this man has done a lot of things for the world, you know? Like he wasn't the first, but he was the one who really took off social media. Because you know, MySpace was a thing, but he really made it universal for everybody. And that's where we get sites like, you know, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all the major social medias all had some influence from Facebook. But you never stop to consider the man behind the program, Mark Zuckerberg. I do not believe, and a bunch of other people do not believe, that he is a real person. He is either a robot, an alien, a time traveler, or a lizard.
Definitely lizard.
Like in every single picture, video, or like public speaking seminar or whatever he's been in, he just doesn't look right. He always just looks so either disconnected or just oddly calculated with his demeanor.
Yeah, I think his hair is shrinking, and that's not helping him.
Yeah,
It just looks smaller and smaller every time you see him.
yeah. And just a bunch of people just don't think that this man, who is a billionaire and runs the biggest social media company on the planet, can be just this disconnected from normal society. Because everything he does, it's just so off. Like anything from as simple as to him eating just a Reuben sandwich. There's a very viral Reuben sandwich picture where he's looking dead at the camera, just having a good old smile, just eating a Reuben sandwich. And I don't know about anybody else, but I never, unless I'm like starving and I haven't eaten in 2 weeks, no one just gleefully eats a Reuben sandwich. Which
You know who does?
Who?
Reuben from Lilo and Stitch. He's literally named Reuben because he just loves sandwiches. And guess what? He's an alien.
Ooh, there's like just a bunch of things that he's done over the course of his career that people just don't really sit right. And if it was any other person, they wouldn't have done it. For example, there was this very controversial PR stunt that he did to promote this. It was kind of Facebook Live before Facebook Live. It was set up like a newscast through Facebook, and it was with him and his co-host. And in the background, it was just shots of damage from a hurricane. And they were just commentating over it while these people are picking up literally their lives. And he's just looking back on it, and he's like, look at all the devastation. And he's like, wow, that is a lot of damage. This is super crazy. And they're acting like it's just not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just no other human being would really have this level of disrespect unless it was just a thoughtless, feelingless thing that's just programmed, you know, to make itself look human. My favorite escapade that Mark Zuckerberg got himself in is when he went to the US Congress to kind of be on trial for his meddling with the 2016 election. And this man was sitting in his official US Congress chair with a little booster seat. And he just looked so sweaty, and his eyes looked really bug-eyed. And everybody saw it. They're like, this guy looks really weird. Just not in the normal human being standpoint. Just his proportions were just really off. The way people call it, the way he sipped his glass, it was sort of like a robotic maneuver. Like sort of like he has like calculations going in his head when to drink the water. It was very weird, and so many news pages like the Insider, Washington Post, just really just kind of dug into him, and it's like there's something not totally right about this guy. there's been a lot of talk about this one little Facebook Live interview he did, and a bunch of people were calling him a lizard and asking him if he was a lizard, and he stopped everything and he said, "For the record, I am not a lizard."
That sounds like something a lizard would say.
Yeah, because like when you just poke fun at it, you're like, hell yeah, I'm a lizard. Like, what of it? And even in interviews, people are asking him, like, are you aware that people think you're a lizard? And he said, and I quote, "I'm gonna have to go with a no on that." And then he also added, "I am not a lizard." He paused and licked his lips. Think about that.
That sounds pretty calculated.
It sounds very lizard-like. Me personally, I believe that he was a robot manufactured by some unknown source, maybe a political party, maybe like a dictator, or just somebody who wants to rule the world. And he wants to know how to influence people's behaviors, kind of meddle with things behind the scenes. And what better way to do that than a central place where everybody can put their thoughts, feelings, memories, emotions, updates in real time. Like, there's no better way to do that than what he's created with Facebook.
Yeah, a place where you put all your information.
Yeah.
Connect with all your friends, so he knows who your entire friend group is, and you can put how you're related to everyone, and then how you interact with those people.
Yeah.
Maybe it could just be a learning algorithm.
Yeah. And they just needed a face behind the algorithm.
A face behind the book.
Exactly. And I also believe that first off, I believe he had something to do with the meddling of the 2016 election. And that was the first step in their process to kind of meddle with, the world as we see it.
Yeah.
And when they almost got totally caught, they had to bring out Mark Zuckerberg and kind of take him out when he wasn't fully ready, and that's why he looked so off in the US Congress. Just wiping off his sweat, sitting in his little booster seat, calculatedly drinking his water, just all that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
People believe he's a time traveler. I know it's ironic considering that I'm calling him an actual computer, but I think that's a little far-fetched. Even though time travel is...
Yeah, that's too far.
Yeah, even though time travel is theoretically possible. Theoretically.
What do you think that maybe the technology that created him came from the future?
Ooh, I actually didn't even think about that. You're very on the money. That could very well be.
It's possible.
Nowadays, we have these androids that can have full-on intellectual conversations with one another. And, they're hyper intellectual. Like, those oddly realistic ones. Like, they talk.
Yeah.
Like, they talk how I could never talk. And they're just programmed to, answer responses in the most, meaningful way that they can. It's very crazy.
Yeah, but you see, the problem with those is that the way they look is they're still kind of in this uncanny valley of like not quite looking human.
Yeah.
I think he's about 2 models forward from that.
Exactly.
And that's what we get.
Like they got the skin, they got the face kinda. I'd give the face like a 7 out of 10. And then
Yeah, he can go for a couple more iterations, but that's what we're stuck with.
maybe a new like iOS update would help him a lot. There's a Facebook Live video, his first Facebook Live video of him just cooking some ribs, and I don't know, it's something that everybody in the world should watch because it is the most hilariously disconnected thing I've ever seen. It's just him cooking ribs, talking about Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce 50,000 times. He just loves his Sweet Baby Ray's.
Smoking meats earlier in the day. Smoking these meats, just set the charcoal up and you set the wood chips up, and then smoking meats, grilling meats, good smoky flavor. Smoke a brisket for like 12 hours. You smoke lemon chicken, smoke salmon, you'll love it. Meat like a brisket. I got ribs in there. Finishing off the brisket and the ribs, and I'm just sitting in our backyard, finishing off this brisket and these ribs. But hopefully for Canadian Thanksgiving, you get to eat a lot of brisket and ribs. How many of you guys are eating brisket and ribs tonight? Brisket and ribs. What are you guys making for dinner? Brisket and ribs, I hope. Delicious. Brisket and ribs. The ribs and the brisket need to be eaten. Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. That is going on the ribs. Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray's is very good. Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray's. We have just applied the Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray's. Maybe throw some Sweet Baby Ray's on the ribs and take it from there.
So I just think that he says things that are theoretically correct, but he just doesn't know how to process them in the way that normal human beings talk.
Yeah, there's a difference between being theoretically correct and being, normal.
Yeah, 'cause you can say, like, everything he's saying is, like, pretty much fine, but it's just the way he's saying it. I just don't think someone could be that sort of disconnected from reality who is also a billionaire and runs one of the biggest social media platforms on the planet. All right, well, I believe that is all the theories we were going to cover. I hope everybody enjoyed hearing our podcast, and we hope that you guys learned a lot about some certain theories that you may or may not have been aware of. And if you have been aware of them, I hope we kind of brought more things to light. And so this has been Minimum Infinitum. We will be signing off. See you later.
Adios.
Goodbye.